Rowan, just first of all, just on Morgan, obviously, just can you just quantify the blow to the group to lose him for the season?
Yeah, it's clearly disappointing. Obviously, sort of compounding with a couple of the other concussion issues that we've had. You know, really can't account for that, and your forward depth is compromised. But you know, in this case, we've known for a little while with Gano that was the likely course of action. But the sort of united front between the consultant, our medical team, our coaching staff, Morgan and his family, we're all very well connected and sort of informed in the process, and everyone was in agreement that this was the best course of action to take for a player of his age and immense talent, that we want to play the long game, and everyone's very connected and looking forward now.
What does the road ahead look like for Morgan between sort of now and the end of the season?
A lot of hard training and a lot of opportunity for physical growth. He's still a young man, and he's got a lot of size and strength still to be gained. So that can be a real focus for him, as well as some off the field educational stuff that he's always inspired to improve himself and create a future beyond rugby league as well. So there'll be more scope and more opportunity to do that. So he'll be in and around and doing all of the training that isn't sort of contact at this point in time, and then we'll work out a graduated return to contact, as the calendar year goes on, and create a return to play date.
He's a loss to the group, but on the field, how much do you feel you've missed him? How much do you feel you will miss him on the pitch this year?
Yeah, again, like, he's a player that we wanted to bring on this year. He had a bit of a disrupted time last year. It's unfortunate for the squad, for the group, for the fans, and most importantly for Morgan himself. Not being able to do what he loves to do is difficult, but he's handled it really maturely, and all we can do is support him and help his growth as a player and a person during this period, and I've got no doubt that he'll come back a better player than he has been in the past. I'm very confident of that. He's the type of character that wants to improve, and he wants to utilise this opportunity, and it's quite a rare opportunity that most breaks that players have from the game are sort of either ill discipline enforced or an injury that sort of limits your ability to work on stuff, where us and Morgan are seeing this now as an opportunity to work on things, and he's got full power rather than just the big collision and stuff. So there's real opportunity here that otherwise you don't get as a 20-year-old. So we're trying to make a positive out of a situation that no one sort of forecast or desired.
Lastly, on Morgan, is there anything that could have been done, do you feel, to avoid us getting to this point, or was it just the fact that it's his age and maybe the freak concussions that he's had?
Yeah, we've gone through all of the protocols as the consultants have done all of their due diligence. We've at times extended the breaks between to allow more training, to allow more strength training, to allow more healing. We've done what's been asked of us from a medical point of view. Morgan has as well. He's a great professional. He's very diligent and dedicated towards all aspects of being a pro footy player, and particularly when he's treating sort of any injury, and when he's been treating his concussion, he's done everything that's asked of him. So it's hard to know. It's a combat sport. It's sometimes it's bad luck, and sometimes it's just a bit of that nature of what we ask our players to go through, is to put their body on the line, and he's done that. And there's a bunch of players over the years that have had a couple in succession, and then gone on a very long run and very prolific career without any concern. So rest and recovery and development with the things that he can develop is the priority now, and looking forward. And Morgan will still contribute to our group, albeit, not on a Friday night.
Just on the other absentees from the last time we spoke, just starting maybe with the concussion guys, Tom Holroyd and James Bentley. Are there any updates on those? Are they progressing as you'd like?
James is training really well within what he's allowed to do at this point. He's looking at a return to play in July, so still a bit to go. But obviously he's had a couple in a shortish period of time as well. So priority on health first and well-being and longevity, and then getting ready to perform comes after that. Tom Holroyd is progressing, but quite slowly. So he's not got a return to play date as yet, but we're hoping that it's relatively soon.
What about Brodie Croft?
He's back into full training with a view to play this weekend.
How much of a boost is that?
Yeah, obviously he's a top quality player, and he's played well this year. He's been probably amongst our most consistent players. He's a quality competitor and a good all round player and a key part of what we're doing. So it'll be great to have him back.
But Harry and his back, are they back?
Yeah, Harry and his back have settled right down, and he's been in full training this week as well. So pending everything pulls up after today's session, he'll be back in the mix on Friday as well.
And the latest on Paul Momorowski, is he progressing as you'd like as well?
Yeah, he's going really well. He's trying to bring his return date forward, but there's a chance he could be available next week, but it's most likely it'll be after the Cup final.
And is there any further update on James Donaldson?
He's improving with his neck, but he sees the consultant, I think it's Friday this week, with a view to what the next stage is. He's progressed slowly, but he has progressed, which is obviously a good sign. But we'll know a little bit more after that checkup.
And there's a new face among the group as well, isn't there, with Matty Russell coming in? Just give us an insight into how that one came about.
Yeah, we've been sort of keeping an eye on players that may be available, but we did make the commitment early in the piece to progress young players where the opportunities came, but with a couple of young players now being injured as well, that we felt it was necessary to explore the market for an experienced player that could not just fill in but make an impact. He's obviously a very experienced player that's always been a handful coming out of the backfield, carrying the ball, and a good finisher, and someone that's very motivated to come and do well for us. So we look forward to him joining in and doing what he does best.
How's he looked in training? And I'm guessing if he's coming on in the short term, he'll probably play in the short term as well this week. Yeah,
he's looked good. He's very enthusiastic and trying hard to get to know everyone and get to know how we do things around the place. And he's done that well. He's fit in. It seems like he's been there a lot longer than sort of less than a week it's been. But he's fit in nicely and trained well.
And how useful has that Challenge Cup break been for you as a group?
It's been good. Players had a few days off to refresh and recharge a little bit, but we've got some great sessions in at the back end of last week and over the weekend. We've trained hard and we've trained well, so it's a really important phase in this middle part of the season. We've been in there competing in every match, but it's important that we turn that being in the battle into being in the winner's circle a little bit more often. So that's the next phase for us, and a super challenging test this weekend at St Helens.
Which will be the third time you played them, but obviously the first time over there. What have been the takeaways from the last two meetings?
Well, we've had a couple of really good hard battles. That first match particularly was was among the best Super League games I've seen this year. And it was a really high standard of game, I thought, high intensity. We played some really good stuff that night. That feels like it wasn't that long ago that we we've played them. So there's a level of familiarity, I'm sure, for both teams. But it's a new battle as well. So we've got to get there, and we've had two good contests. We've had a bunch of great contests with St Helens over the last couple of years that have gone right down to the wire. So it's a matter of getting started again and really going there and attacking the game, because we know what they give. So we've got to go there and give it and some more.
Just lastly, what is it that they give, and are they different this year, do you feel?
I think they are a little bit different in some things that they're doing, but overall the glue of their team has been together for a long period of time. The way of doing things has been very consistent to some element without ever being inside the walls of that place. There's been consistent characters and coaching staff or senior players that have been there through a very long period of time, and a bunch of their key players have only ever played at one club, and that makes a difference to how things get done. Even a lot of their import players have been there now for a few years. So there's a level of rhythm and cohesion that they have, and they drive their standards really, really high. They compete well. They've got a high level of skill as well as a high level of experience and athletic ability. So they're a real benchmark amongst a couple other teams in the competition. But you've got to be good to beat St Helens.
Just one thing, you said that Brodie had been among your most consistent performers. I just wondered who stands out for you as being the epitome of consistency across the season within your squad so far this year.
That's a good question. It's not one that I've really given much thought. I'd say he's been close to it. James McDonnell is a very consistent character. Plays his best and worst games aren't too far apart. Reece Martin's very, very consistent and been playing every week. I think Ash Hanley's been a real consistent performer. He missed a block of time there with that rib injury, but he's been a very good performer. I think Cam Smith's been there or thereabouts for himself. Some other guys have played some good stuff, but probably striving to find that every week. 7, 8 out of 10,
One person I wanted to ask about was Lewis Roberts. I know you obviously didn't get the result you wanted last week, but he played in the centre at Catalan and seemed to have a good game and defensively look comfortable. What do you see his best position being, wing or centre? I know you like utility value, but do you think he is a better centre than a winger?
Yeah, Lewis has practiced mostly as a centre through our pre-season, given the circumstance of our roster with injury and departure. That opportunity came on the wing, and he's a good footy player. He's got good awareness for the game, so he's learnt how to play wing at a decent level. But he's a better centre at this point in time, and that's something that we'd like to explore more, particularly as players are more available on the wing.
Has he been a bit of an unsung hero for you in that he's played out of position for a fair amount of time, but certainly contributes in the yardage and everything like that? He's not the sort of player who gets the headlines, is he? But he's always turning up durable and all those things that you look for in a coach.
Yeah, he's done really well as a young player that's still finding his way in Super League. He's been very consistent with his edge defence. He's been reliable as a winger and a centre there. He's developing his yardage carry out of his own end, and he's one of those guys that the players like playing with because he fits in, he does his job, and there's no fuss, and he's a good teammate. He helps others with his chat and his just general footy awareness. So he's done a good job. He's a guy that, as a young kid, you say he's had a good season as an individual for where he's at in his development.
Matt was just asking about Lewis Roberts. He's one of the players that's out of contract at the end of this season. How are talks going with the players that are not sorted yet, and when do you hope to have all that dealt with?
There's no finish line with contract negotiations. Not very often are they super straightforward anymore. There's always other complications or options or whatnot. So there's no finish line on that. We've had chats with Lewis and they're ongoing, as we have with some other players.
Lewis, I think there was some speculation that other clubs are looking at him. Is he a player that you'd like to keep?
I've strived to bring players in that can develop, and Lewis has developed over his time at the club. So he's certainly someone that I could see, staying at the club and continuing on his development.
Tom Holroyd, you mentioned earlier about injuries, said there's not a return date yet. He was talking about hoping to be back for the Saints game. Has he had a setback? Or was he just being overly optimistic?
At no point. It was hopeful. There was a period there where it was hopeful that he'd be back for St Helens, but he's never been in line to play St Helens. It was more hopeful. He's not gone through the phases at the appropriate rate, so he's had to see a consultant on a couple of occasions to get the best information that we can to aid that progress. So it could be quite a short-term situation for now, from this point, but it's a little bit of an unknown still.
Is there any update on Fussitua and Riley Lum? They're obviously long-term. Any news on those?
Fussitua is tracking really well. He's in line for 3 or 4 weeks to go, but he's going in the right direction. Riley Lum has had a review with the consultant. He doesn't need an operation on his hamstring, but that's a 3-month type injury. So he'll be 9 or 10 weeks away from playing, I'd imagine.
And just on this weekend, obviously everyone was. You were saying in your press conference after the Catalan game how disappointed everyone was. What do you think you need to improve on the most this week?
Well, we've got a different lineup to start with. We've got a few key players back, which certainly makes a difference. We've got to play better for longer. Is the thing. We battled hard at Catalans, but we didn't have enough clinical sort of finish to our sets, and we let ourselves down at the back end of the game, which meant the score blew out a little bit. So everyone's still sort of hurting from that. We've got to start again, and we've got to play, a good, hard, smart, skillful game of footy to test a team that don't get beaten at home very often.